Good evening and welcome back to our channel. Today we are going to be discussing the kingdom Plantae, or the kingdom of plants. Now we've been discussing the 5 kingdom method of classification and we have come all the way up to the kingdom of plants. Now the kingdom of plants have 3 major phyla. The first is the Thallophytes, the Bryophytes and the Tracheophytes. It's important to know these 3 major phyla. Now the Thallophytes are the most primitive type of plants, and among the Thallophytes we have green, brown and red algae. We'll discuss majorly this evening about the Thallophytes. The second major phyla we have are the Bryophytes. Now the Bryophytes are made up of liverworts and mosses. These are also plants such as our ferns. These are all together in the phylum Bryophyta, which will be discussed in another video. The third phylum is the phylum Tracheophyta, and the phylum Tracheophyta talks about is a phylum for vascular plants, and vascular plants are plants that have vascular structures. So they have xylem and phloem that help in the transportation of different materials both up and down within the plant. These are the Tracheophytes. These are the plants that have vascular bundles and vascular structures. This is important to note. But for this video, we are going to be placing our focus majorly on the Thallophytes. The Thallophytes. Now, the Thallophytes are made up of, they are primitive plants. They are not highly specialized plants, and a lot of them are found majorly in aquatic environments. Now, the Thallophytes can be divided into 3 major groups. The first groups are the Rhodophytes. The Rhodophytes are also referred to as the red algae. An example are nori species. Nori species is an example of the Rhodophytes. Another example is the coralline algae. Coralline algae is another example of the Rhodophytes. Now, I said under the Thallophytes there are 3 groups. There's the Rhodophytes, which are the red algae. The second one is the Chlorophyta. The Chlorophyta are also referred to as the green algae, and they are the most common or the most popular members of the phylum Thallophyta. And they include members such as the Chlamydomonas, they include members such as Spirogyra species, and they also include members such as Volvo species. These are all members of the phylum Chlorophyta, or the group Chlorophyta, sorry. The third group under this phylum Thallophyta are the Phaeophyta. The Phaeophyta are also referred to as the brown algae. The brown algae, and a very good example of the brown algae are the kelps. Now, to discuss, let's look at some of the characteristics, or the major characteristics of the phylum Thallophyta. Remember, Thallophyta is one of the important phylums under the kingdom Plantae. Now, the first thing to note is that many of these plants are microscopic in nature. They cannot be seen with the naked eye. So if you look at examples such as Chlamydomonas, examples such as Volvox, they can only be seen by the aid of the microscope. It's possible to see Spirogyra or green algae even in water without using the microscope. But in order to be able to look at the structures very well and describe the structures accurately of the Spirogyra, that has to be done using the microscope. So a lot of these plants are microscopic in nature. That is our Thallophytes that we are discussing about. Now, some of them are unicellular in nature. So some of the unicellular ones include our Chlamydomonas species, while others are multicellular in nature. A very good example of the multicellular are the Spirogyra. Spirogyra, there are many cells which exist within a filament. We usually say they are filamentous in nature, filamentous green algae, because you have many plant cells existing within different filaments, and they all together make up Spirogyra. Now, they are also simple aquatic plants, and they do not have any roots or stems. They do not have any vascular bundles. They don't have xylem. They don't have phloem. So they are simple aquatic plants that are, many of them are microscopic in nature. This is important to know. Now, also because they are plants, we know that they possess cellulose cell wall. They possess cellulose cell wall. This is important to know because the presence of cellulose cell wall is a defining characteristic for plant cells. So Thallophytes which are a phylum under the kingdom Plantae, have cellulose cell wall within their structure. Now, algae are autotrophic in nature and they are able to synthesize their own food, making use of the process of photosynthesis. They have chlorophylls in structures which we refer to as chloroplast, and they are able to synthesize their own food using these chlorophyll. Now, a lot of algae are filamentous in nature, like I said before, but their cells do not differentiate to form tissues. They remain at the cellular level of organization. In the earlier videos that we've done in this our channel, we've discussed the different levels of organization, from cell to tissue, from tissue to we have all the way to organs, from organs to system, and all the way like that to organism. But these simple plants remain at the level of cells and they do not differentiate to form tissues. This is very important to note. They do not have any specialized reproductive organs. They do not have any specialized reproductive structures, and they can reproduce either through sexual means or through asexual means. This is important to know. Important examples in the phylum Thallophyta include Chlamydomonas, as I earlier said, which is unicellular in nature, Spirogyra, like I earlier said, which is filamentous in nature, and Volvox, which exists in colonies. Now, as I've discussed in the past, these are just some of the structures and features of these organisms. It's important to also know the diagrams and be able to draw them perfectly well. So like I've said before, I put the diagrams of all these structures on the videos. Do well to pause these videos and look at these diagrams, look at these structures, and be able to draw them and reproduce them accurately. If you're able to do that, you know that you'll be able to pass very well in the exam. This is important to note. Thank you for listening to this video. Please like, share, and subscribe this content to your friends, and thank you for listening.